So we're going to start with grammar on page 25. So go ahead and turn to page 25 in your grammar book. Do you guys have your books yet, Camila? No? Okay. All right. Today we're talking, excuse me, about the who, which clause. Just a little reminder that clauses are added to a sentence that's already complete. So it's a group of words, and one of the words has to be a verb in the clause. And then you could probably guess it also will have the word either who or which. Okay, that's why it's called a who/which clause. A who/which clause begins with the word who or which, a type of pronoun. Okay, so we use who when we refer to people, personified animals, and pets. So that word who, that's the clause you use when you're referring to those types of things in your sentence. A personified animal, by the way, is an animal that's acting like a person in a story. Okay, think of like the tortoise and the hare, the lion and the mouse. They're talking to each other. They're acting like humans, right? So if your story or a story has animals that talk or do human type things, and you want to put a clause in there, you would use who. Okay. You use which when you're referring to things, animals that are just being regular animals, like a snake being a snake or a giraffe being a giraffe. Okay, then you use that word which, or for places. Okay, and we're going to go over some examples here. A who/which clause must be added to a sentence that is already complete. So here's the base sentence example right here. It says the soldiers had traveled far. And it says sentence in parentheses because that is a complete sentence. We have the subject, which is soldiers, and we have had traveled. That tells us the action or the verb. So that makes it a complete sentence. Now, if you were to add a who/which clause to it, here's an example of adding a who clause. It says, the soldiers who had traveled far. Now, notice the word fragment. That means that the sentence is not complete anymore because they added a who clause, but it didn't work right there. Because here's what happens. When you add who in a group of words, that clause has a verb in it. And it usually, if you just add it to a sentence without adding more after it, it takes away the verb from the original sentence, and then it doesn't sound right. That sentence makes it sound like you're missing something, right? It says the soldiers who had traveled far, and you're thinking, what happened after that? It's just it stops so abruptly right there. Well, here's how it is complete. You have to add more to it. The soldiers who had traveled far needed food. See how that sounds better? That's a complete sentence. Notice in the who clause right here, who had traveled. So they use the word had traveled, those two words together for their verb. And then you need another verb after it, needed. Okay. The soldiers who had traveled far needed food. Here's another way to say it. The soldiers who needed food had traveled far. See how they switched those two things? But that's how you do it. Notice the commas here, before and after the who clause. So remember, a clause is a group of words with who or which in the beginning, who/which clause. And in that clause, it has to have a verb. And then outside of that clause, on the other side of the commas, there has to be another verb after it, okay? This is how you mark this in this book. And don't worry if this sounds a little confusing to you because it's new. We're going to practice this a lot in your grammar book, and then we're also going to practice putting it in your writing too. and then it'll get easier for you. Okay, you'll get super familiar with this. So when you find the who clause, it says place parentheses around the who which clause and write W/W above the word who or which. So that's how you label it, right? You put parentheses around it, and then you put W/W above it, above who or which, and that tells us you found the who which clause and you labeled it. And it will look like this, okay? The soldiers who had traveled far needed food, and notice the parentheses. The parentheses are around the who which clause, and then you write W/W on top of who. That's how you label it in this book, okay? And then it talks about the commas right here. You always put commas around the who which clause. Most of the time, the who which goes in the middle of a sentence, and then you put commas around it when you're writing it. Okay, any questions about the who which clause? If you don't have any questions, just shake your head no. Okay, let's go to the practice page now. Camila, could you read the sentence to us, please? You have to, there you go.
Dwarf who bowed and walked away returned for a third time later that night.
Good, nice reading. And that word bowed is our vocabulary word today. Do you know what bowed means, Camila? Bowed? No, that's okay. Tyler, do you know what it means?
I think it means to like bend down in like respect.
Yes, good. Bend down or bend at your waist like that. In places like Japan, they do that when they greet each other, right? But if you go to a play or some kind of performance on stage, a lot of times whoever's performing will actually take a bow when they're clapping, right? And it is a sign of respect, and it's also a way to say thank you when you get an applause like that. Okay, so put a check by vocabulary because we know what bowed is. Next two articles, go ahead and write in a and the. Remember, don't put and. Put an. Whoops. Trying to light this up a little. There we go. And now go ahead and find the two in the sentence by yourself and put AR on top of it. I see the here and a here. Those are both articles, a and the. So we're going to label those AR for article. William, now I want you to find the three nouns. Do you see the three nouns in the sentence?
Dwarf.
Dwarf, good.
Third.
Say it again.
Third.
Not third. Third would be an adjective.
Night.
Yes, night is one.
Time.
Good. That's exactly it. Tyler, did you have a question or you were going to help with that?
I was gonna help out.
Okay. Yeah, time is the noun and night. So we've got dwarf, time, and night. Good. Tyler, how about the who which clause? Remember, it starts with who, and then it's a group of words that has a verb in it.
Who bowed and walked away.
Good. Who bowed and walked away. So we're going to mark it with parentheses like this. Who bowed and walked away. Good, Tyler. And then above who, we're going to put W/W. That's just labeling that clause right there. But that's right. When you're looking for this in your homework, you're going to look for the words who or which, and then you're going to find that it's a group of words and it has a verb in it. This one has walked. That's a verb, okay? Good. Now, Camila, what word should we capitalize in this sentence?
The.
Good, the. And how about Camila, what goes at the end? What's the end mark?
Period.
Good, period. Awesome. That was it for our checklist up here. So later, after class, you can write this at the bottom, and notice this is indented right here. Okay, so when you write this down, you're gonna move it over right here. You're gonna indent at the bottom, okay? And then that's it for this page. And then for your homework, you're gonna do the next 3 pages, 28, 29, and 30. And Camila, if your mom wants me to email you the work for this week, have her do that, okay? And I can send it to you and you can print it. Okie dokie, that's it for grammar. Go ahead and put your grammar book away. And now we're going to get out our binders. And get out everything from your front pocket about the bald man and the fly. So go ahead and get out your binders and get out all of that you have for the bald man and the fly. And we're going to do a few things with it before we put it away. Okay. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is find this page. It should be in your stack of papers that you kept in the front of your binder. This is a yellow page 27. Give me a thumbs up when you find it and put it in front of you. Good, I see that, William. Good, Tyler. Page 27, we're going to start with this. I see you, Nisaya. We're in the binder now, okay? I recorded the class so you can watch the grammar part later. Okay, Camila, you don't have your binder yet either, right? Okay. So this page is a page that we're going to slowly fill out together over the course of this whole class, okay? And you're going to notice at the top it says stylistic techniques. Part of this class, I'm going to teach you how to add style to your writing. A lot of you are already good writers to start. And so what I'm going to teach you, though, is how to add style to your writing. And the way we do that is adding certain words to your writing. So up here where it says dress ups, there's 6 spots here. We're going to slowly add to this list. But the first one, next to number 1, I want you to put -ly and then the word adverb. ly adverb. Now, we're also going to soon talk about this in your grammar part of the class, but let me explain to you what an ly adverb is. First of all, adverb, I love that they named it that because it really does add to the verb. So it's easy to remember when you see adverb. What ly means is that's how the word ends. So when you have a sentence like the dog chased after the cat, that word chased, that's the action, right? That's the verb in the sentence. The dog chased after the cat. Now I can add an ly adverb to chased, and then it gives the sentence a little more style, like the dog quickly chased after the cat, or the dog frantically chased after the cat, or the dog hungrily chased after the cat, right? Or the dog slowly chased after the cat. Maybe he's like stalking the cat really slow, trying to pounce on it. So those ly words, when you add that to that kind of a sentence, it really gives that sentence more style, and it gives the reader, whoever's reading the sentence, a little more of an image in their head of what's going on. Okay, so that is the first word we're adding. Like I said, we're going to add more as we go, but I wanted you to at least put that on your list. Now, I want you to get out your keyword outline from the bald man and the fly. This one here that we worked on last week. Okay. Now, underneath your keyword outline, I want you to skip a line down here and put ly adverbs and then put a little colon like that. Okay. ly adverbs. You're skipping a line past your outline, and I want you to put ly adverbs. What we're going to do now is talk about a list of words that you can use in this specific story about the bald man and the fly. So remember, an adverb adds to the verb. So the first thing we need to do is think about a verb. And in this story, I'm going to think about at the beginning how the traveler, he sat down to rest. Remember that? So he sat down. That word sat is a verb. It's what he's doing, right? So we can think of a few ly words, ly adverbs, to put before the word sat. So maybe he tiredly sat down. Let's put that word tiredly. Or maybe he slowly, because he's probably traveling and walking, so he's like, I got to sit down. And maybe he lowers himself down very slowly. Or maybe he happily sat down. He was like, oh, thank goodness, there is a rock here for me to sit down and rest my legs. So here's some examples of how you can add one of these words to one of your sentences from your story. He tiredly sat down. He slowly sat down. He happily sat down. Now think about the next part. Remember, the fly starts buzzing around his head. And that word buzzing is a verb, right? It's what the fly is doing. He's buzzing around the traveler's head. Now I want you to think, what ly word could we use to explain how the fly was buzzing? We're going to add to that verb buzzing. The fly was somethingly buzzing around the man's head. What word could we put there to describe how the fly was buzzing around his head? Anybody have any ideas? You can raise your hand. The fly was somethingly buzzing around the man's head. Well, it could be quickly, right? The fly was quickly, it was going, bzzz, maybe it was going really fast, right? Quickly buzzing around his head. If you think of one, let me know. What if it was noisily buzzing around his head? Noisily. Okay, got one, Tyler? What's your idea?
I was gonna say to replace noisily, we could use loudly.
Yes, loudly, you could. Good. I have a good one too. What about annoyingly? Because I don't know about you, but man, when a fly gets around my face, it's super annoying, right? I know that's a big word, but you could use annoyingly. Okay, we're going to stop there because I have so much more to tell you today. But when you go to write this paragraph, and I know that you guys already wrote this paragraph, and we're going to look at that in a second. These are words you can use to add style to your paragraphs. Let's do that right now. Let's look for your paragraph. And I know your paragraph is complete. Mine is not. I basically stopped after our class last week on this. So I only have one sentence. But I know you guys wrote the whole paragraph, which is what you were supposed to do. Oh, let me see. Oh, maybe it's this one. Oh yeah, this is yours from your class. Is that how your first sentence says? One summer day, a traveler decided to take a rest and take off his hat.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's the one. Now, let's go back to our little list that we made down here. He tiredly sat down. He slowly sat down. He happily sat down. We said, take a rest. So let's see, one summer day, a traveler, we could use the word decided. That is a verb. So we could say he he happily decided to take a rest and take off his hat, or you could use that word take as a verb. Slowly take off his hat. One summer day, a traveler decided to take a rest and slowly take off his hat. I kind of like that. He's like, whew, he's like slowly, he's like, ah. So this is how you would add the word slowly. Let's just practice this one word here. Right before that word take, remember, take is a verb, okay? And then the adverb, ly, adverb, goes with it, right before it. So you're going to put a little symbol that looks like a downward arrow. It's called a caret right here, in between and take. And then in that space, this is why we double space, remember, so we can add things to it if we need to. I want you to put the word slowly. So make that little mark here on your paragraph and add that word slowly. So now it says, one summer day, a traveler decided to take a rest and slowly take off his hat. Do you see how that added a little more style to your sentence right there? The next thing, I see your hand, Tyler, hang on a second. The next thing I want you to do is underline slowly. Just underline it. Okay, Tyler, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so I replaced take off and put down. So is it okay if it says one summer day a traveler decided to take a rest and slowly put down his hat?
Yes, good question. And I like that you changed that because we did use take twice and we really don't want to do that. I think your sentence is better than this one, Tyler, because we want to not repeat the same word. That's a really good question. And I like how you changed it.
By the way, I just wanted to let you know in advance, I may or may not get disconnected because my internet connection is unstable.
Okay, that's okay. If you get disconnected, just try to come back in and I'll let you back in. Okay, Tyler?
Okay.
And you can just keep your camera off. I think that'll help your connection stay a little bit better. Okay, so good. Did you all add slowly? Give me a thumbs up if you added slowly to your sentence. Good. Now notice how that just made that sentence have so much more style. Here's the next thing I want you to do. Look for this page 29. This is called a checklist. This is page 29. We didn't have a time last week to really go over this with you. So we're going to do that now. It's page 29. It should be in that stack of papers from your front pocket there. Go ahead and put your name here where it says name. And then where it says source text, you're just going to copy the bald man and the fly. Okay, that's the story. So write your name here on name and put the bald man and the fly there. I'll give you a minute to do that. And then we're going to talk about what this is and how to use it. Okay, if you're still writing, it's okay. Go ahead and keep writing, but you can listen to me while you're writing. The first section of your checklist says structure, and that's just how your page is laid out. Okay, when you go to write your paragraph, or if sometimes you might have 3 paragraphs, this is how you set up your page. So the first box here says name and date in upper left-hand corner. Now, when I say upper left-hand corner, the way we always do it on this top line is correct. That's where I want it to be. That's considered the upper left-hand corner. I don't mean like at the very tippy top. I don't mean way up there. I mean at the first line, okay? So when you look at your paragraph and you see that you do have your name and date there, you can put a little check mark in that box. That tells me that you did that, okay? So put a little check there if you remembered to put your name and date on your paragraph at the upper left-hand side. The next little box says composition double spaced. Now, last week, remember we put all these little X's in here to remind you to skip a line, and that means you double spaced. So if you did on your paragraph, if you remembered to double space all the way down, you can put a check right here in that box. So a checklist is basically a reminder to you. And then you actually write a check mark, like that, in the box to show that you did that. Okay. And then eventually you're going to start turning these in with your homework. So I can see your checklist. This is really important to use this checklist every time. Okay. The next box says title centered and repeats 1 to 3 key words from the final sentence. Okay, that is a title rule. Now notice last week, we put a line here and we left the title blank because we ran out of time. We didn't have time to actually find a title. So here's what I want to do. Everybody look at the very last sentence of your paragraph, the very, 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 very last sentence. And I need a volunteer who would like to read your last sentence of your paragraph. Who would like to read it to me? Okay, Tyler, I see your hand. I can take more than one person if somebody else wants to read too. But Tyler, go ahead and read to me. What do you have on your very, very last sentence?
He thought about how we will hurt ourselves if we become angry.
Okay, and I'm just going to write it down here. He thought about how we can hurt ourselves.
Yes.
When we get so angry, is that what you said?
Yes. No, if we become angry.
Okay. If we become angry. Okay, you don't have to write this down, guys. I'm just writing down Tyler's last sentence. Your last sentence might be a little bit different than that, and that's okay. I'm just writing it down because I want to show you an example. How about Nasaya? What do you have for your very last sentence of your paragraph? Or did you finish it yet?
Thought when we're angry, we only hurt ourselves.
Okay, I heard most of that. It sounds like your internet's kind of unstable today too, so that's okay. Good. That's a good last sentence. I like that. How about William? What's your very, very last sentence of your paragraph?
I didn't finish writing mine.
Not yet. Okay. How about you, Camila? What's your very last sentence?
We thought we only hurt ourselves when we are annoyed.
Okay, good. Now looking at the last sentence, and I'm going to use Tyler's here as an example. Remember, the title rule says you have to use 1 to 3 words, key words from your last sentence in the title. And the reason why we do this is because if you think about a song, for example, when you listen to a song, there's usually a sound that you hear or a word or a group of words in the beginning of the song. And then you'll hear it again at the end of the song. That may be the same note or the same instrument or the same words at the end of the song. And that's because our brains like that. Our brains really like it when you hear something at the beginning that's the same as the end. It makes our brains go, ah, that's such a nice song. And it feels like it's complete. And it just kind of ends nice, okay? Same kind of a concept when you're writing. Your title, when you start out your story and you have your title and then you read the whole story and then you get down to that last sentence and you see that word again and you go, oh, okay, it all comes together. It all fits together. That's why we do this. So for example, down here we have the keywords thought, we have hurt, we have ourselves, angry. Those are all considered key words. Now you can pick 1, 2, or 3 to use in your title. I'm going to pick one word, angry. I'm just going to pick that one for an example. And I could call this story, I could make a title that says, The Angry Old Man. That could be a good title. And I use that word angry because it's in my last sentence. So that counts, right? That's a key word. 1 to 3. So it could be just 1. It could be, I pick the word hurt. And maybe I say the title could be, Don't Hurt Yourself, or Don't Hurt the Fly, or using hurt could be why hurt yourself? Something like that. Do you have an idea, Tyler?
We could say the old man and the I forgot.
Keep thinking though.
We could say the angry traveler and the annoying fly.
Oh, there you go. I love it. The angry traveler and the annoying fly. Let's do that one. I like that one. But if you guys pick a different one, look at your last sentence. Everybody has a different last sentence. Pick at least one word from that sentence and put it in your title. I like that, Tyler. Good job. Okay, tell me it one more time. The angry old man or the angry man?
The angry traveler.
The angry, there we go. Traveler. Notice I'm capitalizing the words for the title. The keywords. Always the first word is capitalized in a title, and then it's the keywords after that. So the angry traveler, and now I'm going to put and lowercase, the lowercase, annoying, it's a good word, is going to be capital, and fly is going to be capital. That's a long title, but guess what? It's awesome. I love it. You do not need a period after your title. When you're titling something, it's like naming a book, right? It's the title that just labels the story. Good, Tyler. The angry traveler and the annoying fly. And you've got that word angry down at your last sentence, so it works. That follows the title rule. So you're going to start practicing the title rule every time you write your paragraphs from now on, okay? Any questions about what we just talked about with how to make a title, how to use a word from the last sentence in the title? Any questions about that? No? Okay. So remember, you can have 2 words or 3 words from your last sentence, or just one. It doesn't matter, 1 to 3 in your title from your last sentence. Now, let's say you have a really awesome title that you really want to use, but you don't have that word in the last sentence. You can change your last sentence to include the word you want in your title. It's okay to do that. They just have to match, okay? At least one word. And we'll talk more about that as we go. Back to the checklist here. This box right under that where it says title, checklist on top, final draft, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do that box. That you can just ignore, because that's for when you're taking an in-person class with me. If you were in a classroom turning in your homework to me, you guys are turning it in online, so I don't need that. Okay, just follow the instructions I put online on the Google Classroom. And then here, style. Notice under style, it says, this is a paragraph symbol, by the way, next to that number 1. And that just means in the first paragraph. And this assignment only had 1 paragraph. But notice it says dress ups. That's what we just talked about on that yellow page. And you're going to underline 1 of each. Now, here's the thing. It's ly adverb. You can have 5 ly adverbs if you want in your paragraph, but you only need to underline 1. But you can have more ly adverbs. If you like using those and you want to practice using those, go for it, okay? But you only need to underline 1, and that's a rule, because then that tells me that you included that in your paper. Underneath that, and by the way, there's a box there for you to check that. And you can check that because all of us added that word slowly in the paragraph. So you added it and you underlined it, so you can check that box. Mechanics, this is the stuff that we always want to do when we're writing, making sure to capitalize, making sure you have your end marks. And then this one right here, complete sentences, does it make sense? What's the best way to know if it makes sense? Anybody have any ideas? How do you know your paragraph makes sense? Tyler, what do you think?
You could read it.
Yes. And the best way to do it, good, is to read it out loud, because our brains are so fancy and smart that sometimes if we read it inside our heads, our brains will fix the mistakes and we won't catch it. But if you read it out loud, There's something about our brains that forces us to slow down and look at all the words, and we might forget the, or we might forget of, or some silly word, right? I mean, you're like, I forgot to put that, but you won't catch it unless you read it out loud. So I want you to read it to your dog, to your cat, to the mirror, to your stuffed animals, to, I don't know, your mom and dad or somebody in the house is also excellent because then they can hear you read it. But practice it by yourself first, and then go to your mom or your dad or your grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, whoever's at home that's a grown up. Okay. You're going to read it out loud to them so that you can catch those little things if there is anything in there. And then your spelling, I don't expect everything to be perfect, but I do want you to fix spelling if you happen to notice, oops, I forgot the E or I forgot the I. I want you to fix it if you notice it. And then as far as your parents, if they see spelling errors, they can help with that too. Okay. Any questions about the checklist? Okay. You're going to get one of these every time now, every week. So every week you're going to use that checklist when you do your homework. Now we need to put things away. So get out your binders. We have a lot of things to put away. We're going to start with that yellow page. There's a tab. This is a new one for you. There's a tab in the back. Remember, lay your binder flat so you can turn the pages easy, okay? Back here that says stylistic techniques. Look for the tab that says stylistic techniques. It's a new tab for us. When you find that tab, I want you to turn that tab, and behind it, I want you to put this yellow page. Yours has LY adverb on here. Mine, I erased it because I'm using this for other classes. So put this yellow page behind stylistic techniques, open the rings, put it in there, close the rings. Okay, give me a thumbs up when you got that put away. Okay.
We're just putting the yellow page away for right now, correct?
For right now, correct, yes.
Okay.
Okay, good. Nisaya, did you get yours put away? Okay, William, I see that. You can unmute Nisaya. Oh, okay, I see your thumb. Now, close your rings. Find the one that says finished compositions right here. Finished compositions. And then behind that tab, I want you to go past the dog in the shadow, go past the scorpions, go to the back of all that, okay? And then I want you to put in the rest of your papers for the bald man and the fly. So this one on top. Then you got the original story, the checklist, your keyword outline, your paragraph, all the stuff that's left for bald man and the fly goes right here behind scorpions, behind that finished compositions tab. So once you get those in your rings, give me a thumbs up. Once you get your stuff, Camila, I think I'll have to do a separate Zoom with you just to help you organize everything because there's a lot that we've been moving around, okay? So we'll figure that out once it comes. Okay. Thumbs up if you got that put away. Sorry, I was looking down for a second, so I might have missed that. Good, William. Messiah and Tyler, you got it yet? Okay, good, Messiah. Okay, Tyler, did you have a question?
No, I was just letting you know that I got it.
Oh, okay. Now go back to the front.
Wait, William has a question, I think.
Oh, sorry, William. I thought that was Tyler for a second. What's your question?
I didn't put away the paragraph because I didn't finish writing it.
Oh, good point. Okay, yeah. So you can wait till you're done writing it. Once you turn it into Google Classroom, then you can put it away. That's a good point. Let's go back to the beginning here of your binder. And now look again at the source text tab, which is the very first tab. And when you turn to that tab, you should see week 4, the fox and the stork. And you're going to get out the next lesson, which is week 4. Okay. It's page 31. And then it's page 33. It's like that. And then it's page 35. And 37. So you're going to take out 4 pages. When you see week 5 camels, leave that in your binder. Don't take that one out yet. That's for next time. So close your rings. Once you get out all of week 4, you're going to close up your rings. And then you also need 1 piece, actually 2 pieces of lined paper. So you're going to get lined paper out too. Give me a thumbs up when you got all that out and ready to go. You should have 4 pages out. Okay, good, Tyler. I see that. Oh, good. Looks like everybody's ready. All right. So the first thing I want you to do is go to, in your stack, the story, The Fox and the Stork. We're going to start there. Okay, and then I'm going to read this to you guys. You can follow along on yours. And then we're going to talk about it. Now, this is another Aesop's fable, which means it's a pretend story. It's a fictional story of 2 animals, and they actually act like humans in this one, okay? And then there's always a lesson we can learn from it. So as I'm reading it, be thinking about what lesson you can learn from this story, a life lesson. It's called The Fox and the Stork. A fox invited a stork to supper and served him soup in a shallow bowl. While the fox easily ate the soup, the stork with his long pointed bill could have nothing and left hungry. A few days later, the fox was invited to a meal with the stork. Their dinner was mincemeat, served in a tall jar with a small mouth. And here it is on the picture here. With his long bill, the stork easily ate from the jar, but the fox could only lick the rim. Thus, the fox went away disappointed and hungry. However, he realized that he had received what he deserved, considering his bad treatment of the stork. Okay, good. That is the story. Does anybody think of a life lesson you can learn from this one? I see your hand, Tyler. I'm going to see if somebody else has an idea. Somebody have an idea of what lesson can you learn from this as far as a life lesson? Okay, Camila.
To treat others the way you would be treated.
Excellent. Do you know that's called the golden rule? That's the golden rule. Good. Okay, William, I see that. Good. Olivia knows too. So the golden rule is to treat others the way you want to be treated. So guess what? The fox was tricky, and he put it in as a type of bowl. A shallow bowl just means it wasn't very tall. And the stork with his long bill, he couldn't eat it. So he did that. The fox was kind of sneaky like that. He was tricking the stork. Well, the stork was like, okay, pal, if you're going to do that to me, why don't you come over to my house and let me serve it in this thing? You can't even, the poor little fox couldn't even get his nose past the opening there. And look how the stork, his beak probably goes all the way down here. And he's like, this is delicious. And the fox is like, Hey, look at his face. His ears are back, you know, he's like. So the rim is this part. You probably know that at the very top here. So that's all he could do was lick that rim. And so he was hungry. But you're right, Camila. Treat others the way you want to be treated is the lesson we can learn from this. And by the way, mincemeat is a type of food that has its meat, but it also has other things like nuts and it's got raisins and fruit and stuff in it. It's a very interesting type of food. I don't really care for it myself, but some people really like that. That's what mincemeat is. And that word thus we don't use very often. This is an old story, but it just means like therefore or then. So that word thus, okay, is what that means. Anything else I was going to tell you? I think that was pretty much it as far as the vocabulary in here. So now with your lined paper, I bet you know what we're going to do next, huh? Keyword outline.
Outlined.
Yep, there it is. Name goes there. That's considered the upper left-hand corner. And then today's date, I'm going to use numbers today. Is today the 13th? Oh, it's the 12th. That's funny. I lost track of time for a second there. You can write the date with just numbers. 10 stands for the 10th month of the year. You probably know that. 10, 12, 23, that's fine. Skip a line, copy the title with the capitals and everything, the fox and the stork. Looking at that title, notice the first word is always capital. I'm going to remind you of this again. And then beyond that, it's the keywords. So we've got the and fox and stork, and the in the middle are not capital, okay? And there's no period at the end. Let's put KWO keyword outline under that. And then this story has 7 sentences. So skip a line and we're going to write 1 through 7 and then give me a thumbs up when you're done with all that. Good, Nasiah. Good, Tyler. I see that. Okay, good, Camila. Okay, good, William. Okay, now we're going to continue doing the same thing we've been practicing, which is looking at each sentence. And I think we can go a little faster this time. And you're going to pull out, look for the key words. Sometimes there's more than 3 keywords. Then you have to decide what is the best keyword out of the keywords that you have. So remember, there are only 3 on each line, but you can use numbers, you can use symbols, and you can use abbreviations for free. We don't have to count those, right? So this story kind of goes back and forth between the fox and the stork. So I have an idea I want to tell you right at the front here. So instead of wasting one of my 3 words on either fox or stork, I'm going to make a symbol. And the story starts with the fox, right? I'm going to put an F with a circle around it. And then I want you to circle the F in your title, because that's going to be a little reminder to you that like, oh yeah, F stands for fox. Okay. Because like I said, we flip back and forth a bunch between these 2 characters. That way we can keep track of who's who and not have to count it as a word in our outline. So in the beginning here, fox invited the stork to supper and served him soup in a shallow bowl. So we started with fox and he invited. So go ahead and put invited here. And he invited the stork. Let's put S with a circle and then circle the S and stork at the top there to remind us. Let me zoom in a little so you can see that better. There you go. So I circled it here as a reminder, that's what that stands for. And I circled F here to remind me that's what that stands for. And he invited stork over for supper. That's another word for dinner. We usually say dinner. I didn't realize that was kind of a California thing until my daughter moved to Oklahoma and they say supper in Oklahoma. That's just kind of a style of saying it. But we say dinner most of the time. Same thing. And then he served soup, but he served it in I forgot to put a little comma here. A shallow. That word is important. And then what I'm going to do is draw a little bowl right here. And I'm going to make it kind of short like that. Shallow means it wasn't very tall, right? So Fox invited Stork over for supper and served soup in a shallow bowl. All right, I'm going to have Tyler do the next one. Right here, while the fox easily ate the soup, the stork with his long pointed bill could have nothing and left hungry. What do you think for that one, Tyler?
Fox easily ate,
Okay.
and then stork pointed hungry.
Okay. I don't know if we need 8. Because that you just named 4 words. Maybe we just do fox easily. We can assume he's eating, right? Because he's eating supper. We just talked about that. So maybe we could say, I like what your ideas are though. The fox easily. We can assume he's eating, and then we have the stork. And you said pointed. I agree with that, but it's about his long bill, right? That's the part that we want to remember, is that it's long, not that it's pointed necessarily, but that it's
long.
Yeah.
Long, nothing, or long, nothing hungry.
Well, now we've already got 2 words. I'm thinking, can we draw a little picture of his bill? Maybe.
Probably.
I'm gonna draw. This is terrible. I'm not a very good artist. Okay, I'm gonna forewarn you. That's his head. And then I'm just gonna draw along, and I'm gonna put an eye here. Okay, that's his bill. His long bill. You can probably draw one way better than me.
Mine's not even close to what yours looks like. Mine's terrible.
Don't ever take an art class from me, okay? You go somebody else for that. Okay. And then I think you said hungry or nothing. What do you think for the last word?
Hungry.
Hungry.
Or we could draw a plate and then do nothing.
Yeah, we could. I think we can remember that though. Let's just put nothing. Or hungry. If you like hungry better, go ahead and put hungry there. Remember, our outlines can be a little different. Okay, now for the next sentence, Camila. Your sentence says, a few days later, the fox was invited to a meal with the stork. How can we put that in our outline?
Days.
Okay, days. What else? What are all the keywords there? Days. How about later? It's probably a keyword. See any other keywords there?
Invited.
Yes, invited. I think that's a keyword. How about meal? That's a keyword. And then of course, fox and stork. So here's my thought is. I'll help you with that one a little bit, Camila. You're on the right track though. Okay, good job. You're thinking right. Remember we started with fox invited stork. Well, now stork invited fox. And to me, it makes sense if we write it like that. S invited F. Because here we have F invited S, S invited F. It's hard to keep track of that sometimes, but in my mind, that's the easiest way to remember how it goes. And he invited him, remember, to a meal. And we could put that word later, to a meal. Or you can move that word later to the beginning, where it says later Stork invited Fox to a meal, or Stork invited Fox later to a meal, or something like that. Okay. So you were on the right track, Camila. That was good. I know it's a little hard because you don't have the story in front of you. So once you get your binder, it'll be easier. Okay. Easier for you to see it. William, how about the next sentence here? Their dinner was mincemeat served in a tall jar with a small mouth.
Dinner,
Okay. What else?
mincemeat,
Okay.
jar,
Yes. That's a tough one, huh? How about instead of dinner, because we know it's dinner, we just use mincemeat. How about we start with that? Mincemeat. And I agree the jar is important to remember, but I think that word tall is also really important because that's what made it hard for the fox to eat, right, William? So maybe we could put tall, and then we could draw a little jar here like this, maybe. There, that's my jar. Looks like that. And then I want to remember the mouth of the jar. That they call it mouth, but it's not a mouth like our mouth, right? We have a mouth that we use to speak with and eat with. But the mouth is just basically the opening of the jar at the top, right? So I'm thinking, what if we do this? What if we put SM period for small? Have you ever seen that maybe on a t-shirt before? Like when you're looking at the size and it says small, it just says SM on it. That tells you small and then mouth. Or the other idea is for you to write the word small and draw a little mouth to remind you of the word mouth. But remember, if we abbreviate like that, we don't have to count that. So that either way works, however it makes sense best to you. Okay, we're going to have to stop there. I'm sorry, Nasaya, we didn't have time to hear your ideas of the next sentence, but here's your homework, okay? Your homework is to finish this keyword outline. You still have the last 3 sentences to do on the story. So Camila, have your mom email me so I can remember because I have other classes to do. You're going to need this story in order to finish the keyword outline. And then you're going to write a paragraph of this story using your keyword outline, just like you did for the bald man and the fly. Before you go, I want you to look at this page right here, the checklist page, page 37, from the stuff you just took out. Later, you can put your name and the fox and the stork here, but look at your checklist. There it is. I want you to use this when you write your paragraph. Make sure you have your name and date in the right spot. Make sure you double space. And please, if it helps you, put those little X's in there to remind you to skip lines. If you don't need that, then you don't have to write that. Try to use pen. Okay, try, but if that stresses you out too much, then you can use pencil, but don't erase. Remember, you're using the space above each line to put corrections in. Okay, remember, I don't mind sloppy copies at all. I like to see sloppy because it shows me you're fixing things, you're moving things, you're making it sound great. And then the title, you're going to pick a new title for this story. So you're not going to call it The Fox and the Stork anymore. You're going to get creative, but you have to wait until you write that last sentence, okay? Then you're going to write your title. So leave a spot for your title. When you go to set up your page, leave a spot for it. And then make sure to add an ly adverb. You just need one to underline, but you can have more than one in your paragraph. But think of some ly adverbs like the fox sneakily invited the stork over for dinner, or the stork excitedly invited the fox over for dinner, or some kind of ly adverb to describe a verb, okay, an action in the sentence. So we'll talk about that a little bit more next week. You guys have any questions about what your homework is this week? No? It's on Google Classroom, so you can go there to see what the homework is, and that's where you turn it in. I see your note, Tyler. That's fine with me. Just try not to erase. If you make a mistake, just put a line through it and write it above. All right, you guys, we went a tiny bit long today, but good job. I'll see you next week. Bye. Oh, good. You got a little picture there?
Bye.
Bye, you guys. Oh, good. I see your keyword outline. You're doing good, Camila.
Hopefully I can get my camera to start up next week.
Hope so too, Tyler. Yes. We'll hope it's a better week for that.
Bye.
And okay, bye, Tyler. And Camila, I hope you get your books soon, okay? Okay. Bye. You can click leave or end on your Zoom. Got it? Good.